Guys, I have a confession to make. While I was up in Averstone with my dad for my spring vacation, I may have read ahead and had a look at some of the chapters in the story to see what they're about. But don't worry, I won't spoil anything for you, and I'll keep reading as normal, and the story will keep surprising me no matter what. I'm still in this. This chapter... this beauty of a chapter, it made me laugh. And I bet that in this video, it's going to make me laugh even harder, so... let's get down to business with Chapter 14 of the Animals of Farthing Wood, The Journey of a Lifetime, named, and I'm kidding you not, you can see it, Drunken Antics. This is directly after the last chapter, by the way, where we got our title drop, and if you can hear the scraping, it's just me getting some wet food for Lola. Please don't pay it too much mind. So let's read, and let the madness commence very soon. Very soon. Seconds turned into minutes. Minutes into hours. Hours into days. Days into weeks. Before they knew it, the band of traveling animals had been in the city for nearly a month. Their progress was sloppy and slow, only going through usually one alleyway a night. This wasn't exactly their fault, though. They couldn't take the risk of crossing the roads when they were busy. And they were busy almost all the time. Seriously, do humans ever go to sleep? Plucky muttered irritably, peering out from the end of yet another alleyway as he observed many active humans, even though it was a very late night. Well, you know how things are in the big town while people are out, and just knocking about, doing their business, going on dates and stuff, performing in nightclubs, singing clubs, all dancing nightclubs and the like. Apparently not, Dash replied glumly. They must sometime. They can't go without sleeping, Woody interjected. Perhaps some are nocturnal and others aren't, Scarlet suggested. Now, when you say that, Scarlet, you're actually correct. Some humans get little to no sleep when they work nights and they end up sleeping in the day. Yeah, that's what my brother goes through with work, and what I'm gonna eventually go through maybe someday. That would make sense, Plucky began, but was interrupted by Perry landing heavily on the ground behind him. The Falcon had gone scouting out the city, as he was the only one who could. It made the others feel guilty, particularly Plucky, that Perry was tiring himself out doing so, but Perry insisted on doing it, to make sure they were going the right way. It was the only way they didn't get lost in the endless maze of buildings and roads. Considering to them, every street corner and every alleyway looked almost identical. You do have a very good point there. Sorry, I was just checking the washing machine. You do have a very good point there, guys. Even down here, most of the buildings are identical, and the streets. What's different about them are the street names and the whatnot. How far have we got to go? Plucky asked the Falcon. Still a way to go yet. Probably another week at our current pace. Maybe longer, Perry explained, catching his breath. Well, we best get comfortable for the night, Plucky huffed. I don't see us making any more progress today. More days passed, and it was the same over and over again. It was beginning to become unbearable, considering also that the transition from day to night was almost unnoticeable due to the excessive light from the city's illuminations. The only time they could be sure it was night was when Perry flew up to see where the sun was. The weather was also a benefactor for their misery. In the city, it was barely ever sunny. Whenever it was blocked by the tall buildings, but overall it was overcast most of the time, and when it wasn't, it was raining. It actually made the animals miss the snow they had already traveled through. Sorry about that, guys. It was just, text from Daggy. Don't worry. At least it wasn't as cold as before. The massive man-made structures insulated the ground and shielded the animals from most of the elements. Huh. I didn't know that buildings and insulation was a thing. Huh. Well, now we know, and knowing is half the battle. In the times when they ever slept, Plucky remained awake, unable to sleep. He could have sworn the days were just passing by over and over as he lay on the ground amongst his sleeping friends, staring down this latest of alleyways. He thought he was going mad, and probably would have if he didn't have Scarlet to comfort him. He was stressing so much, trying to keep the group calm at times, let alone himself. Tempers were high, and arguments often erupted between them. Usually about something petty, but in the darkest of times, even petty disagreements could cause the fiercest of arguments. Even Plucky and Dash were in a frenzy at each other at one point, which shocked all of them, even Plucky and Dash themselves. They had never argued between them before in their lives. So they've never had a single fight until now? Oh my goodness. This city is getting to them. This is a city of hell. However, they couldn't afford to fight amongst themselves, and each eventually made peace with each other, renewing their feeling of camaraderie. But they were still miserable in the city. They were all in need of a night off, to let go of their stress and worry and just have some fun or a laugh. Fortunately, that night did come eventually, but not in the way they ever could have imagined. Yeah, that's true. Everybody needs a day off sometimes. Even me, even Jack, even Daggy, even Dad, even literally everyone. In another back alley of the city, the group had decided to nestle for the night in a deserted dead-end alleyway, having already made a perilous crossing of yet another bustling city road. They were still a little agitated and tense from it, and so had gone around the alley foraging for food, vigilantly watching for any more danger. There were barely a few morsels for them to stumble upon after rummaging through several rubbish bins. While foraging, Dash discovered a small glass bottle with a red label on it, discarded in the alley, obviously left by some human. It was half empty with a clear liquid inside it. Little known to her or the others, what she had actually found was a bottle of alcohol. Specifically, a bottle of vodka. Ooh. Is this gonna be the Animals of Farthing Wood version of, the Demon in the Bottle Iron Man story? I've never read that comic. I watch Mojo countdowns whenever I can. And this Iron Man story, Demon in a Bottle, was on a few of their lists about Marvel at the time. It's, the story itself focuses on, Tony Stark, getting into an internal conflict with himself. And, it's actually quite a serious story about alcoholic recovery. How alcoholics need space and time to recover. And, how even the slightest moment of weakness could have them relapse. have a look online for that story if you want, and while you're at it, please have a look at some Watch Mojo videos. Their countdowns are actually good. But enough talk. Back to the video. Hey! I found a bottle of something! Dash called out, rolling the glass bottle along the floor before propping it up on its end. It looks like water, Woody said curiously, as he and Jester looked at it inquisitively. Are you sure it's water? Bolt replied warily. I dunno, does water come in bottles too? Jester asked out to anyone. Sometimes humans drink from bottles, but I've noticed it isn't always water they drink, Perry answered, having been the most observant of the humans. Well, it can't be harmful if humans drink it, Plucky said evenly. I wouldn't risk it, though, Scarlet said unenthusiastically. Oh, don't be silly, Dash said naively. Yeah, humans drink from bottles. Why can't we? Plucky pointed out, joining in on Dash's eagerness. That is actually pretty true. Animals could drink from, bottles of water too, I believe. Yeah, I think I've seen some cases where, some animals, are being given water by humans and actually drink them out of the bottles. He picked up the bottle with his mouth and held it in place with his paws, using his sharp teeth to twist the cap off. While it was heavy, he lifted it up above his head. How? Wow! And gulped some of its contents. Only then, half a second later, did he drop the bottle from his jaws and coughed excessively, releasing several long wheezes. I was just getting into character. The others just watched him anxiously. Okay, Plucky coughed. It's definitely not water. I don't know what it is. He coughed again, his voice a little tense. It's warming my throat, though. Let me try some, Dash said eagerly. Dash, I don't think... Bolt tried to stop her. However, Dash had already grabbed the bottle and, like Plucky had, gulped some of the clear liquid in it. She swallowed and cringed, coughed too, and wheezed from the strange sensation. This is gonna do a number on my throat, isn't it? Goody. Whoa! Let's... Dash coughed. Certainly got a kick to it! I do apologize for the, sudden cut there, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that, Daggy came back from Tesco, having got us some more toothpaste and new sponges for the bathroom. And she also got a McDonald's for herself, since Jack is at work. And, thank you very much, Daggy, for the 2 hamburgers and large fries from McDonald's. They were really delicious. Thank you so much. I think that's dinner for me sorted out now. Anyway, back to the video. The group was quiet for a while they watched Plucky and Dash drink from the bottle a couple more times, slowly becoming intoxicated thanks to the alcohol. Not that any of them knew what was going on. Suddenly, Scarlet spoke a little worriedly, having noticed Plucky shaking his head and swaying side to side slightly. Plucky, you feeling okay? Yeah, Plucky replied, and he looked at Scarlet confused and cross-eyed. Since when were there 2 of you? Ladies and gentlemen, Plucky has officially gotten wasted. Well, everyone has their first time, don't they? What? Scarlet asked, baffled. Why are you looking at me like that? Plucky asked almost aggressively. Like what? Like that weird stare. Because you're acting weird. I do feel a bit weird. Plucky summarized curiously. And happy? Give me some more of that! He shouted as he went for the bottle and began drinking from it again! Plucky, stop! Scarlet ordered, struggling to take the bottle from him. No! No, it's good! I like it! Yeah, it's great! Try some! Dash interrupted. Not if you force me to! Someone's got to keep their wits about them! Scarlet said forcefully. It doesn't seem to be harmful, Scarlet, Bolt said calmly. We could just let them have some fun. But they're losing their minds! What is that stuff? I think it must be something humans drink for fun. It definitely seems to make it. Haven't you noticed some of them staggering and laughing like they are at night? Bolt coaxed, while they were witnessing Plucky and Dash laughing hysterically at the most random things. Well, I could do with a laugh. Now pass me the bottle, Justice said eagerly. Fine. Just don't drink too much of it. Scarlet conceded and rolled the bottle over to them. Oh my god! You see what I mean? When they talked about how this chapter made me laugh. It was a little laugh, but come on! You guys better be laughing too. This is comedy gold here. Lord knows how much we need comedy right now. Jester went to drink from the discarded bottle, as did Woody. They too quickly became drunk and were soon up to mischief. Perry was curious enough to try it too, and it was quite obvious and hit him straight away when I'm sorry. I'm in the garden getting some clothes up right now, and I can't contain my laughter when he fell flat on his front trying to take off. The intoxicated animals laughed and joked for some time, while Scarlet and Bolt, as the more responsible ones, tried to keep them under control. At times, though, it proved to be a difficult task. Everyone is fricking wasted! How would it not be difficult? Oh, gosh darn it. Hey guys, bet I can make this jump! Plucky called out to them all, standing atop a bin with intent to jump to another a couple of meters away. For a sober fox, that jump would be easy. Oh my god. I've just remembered a similar incident with Weasel at the end of Season 1. As it just so happens, while I was reading this story up at Everstone, I finished watching all of Season 1 of the Animals of Farthing Wood on DVD at Dad's flat. Oh my god, this is gonna suck badly. Plucky, no! Scarlet implored, wary for Plucky's safety, but it was useless to reason with a drunk, and Plucky jumped. The bin he was on toppled over as he leapt from it, meaning he only launched himself into the other, not on it, and he fell with a thud onto the floor. However, he was fine because he was laughing out loud, as were Dash, Perry, Woody, and Jester. Scarlet and Bolt, however, were a bit more skeptical. Well, almost made it. Plucky laughed. Come on, get up! Scarlet gestured, walking over to him. At least check all over him to see if he isn't hurt. Ooh, someone's getting touchy, Plucky sniggered. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to keep you rowdy lot under control. Oh, pfft. We're fine. Yeah, we're not that bad. Dash piled on, but then started hiccuping vigorously, which continued for some time. Okay, time for sleep, Bolt declared, and then had to take the bottle away from Dash when she tried to drink from it again. No! No more of that for you! Lighten up and have some fun! She shouted, but as she got up from her sitting position on all fours, she murmured, Whoa, oh, I don't feel so good. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Come on, Bolt persuaded her softly, leading her to a secluded corner of the alley. All right, bossy, Dash said jokily as she followed her mate out of sight. You're so snuggly, Plucky said warmly to Scarlet while he nuzzled her. Even when he's gotten completely smashed and hammered, Plucky still finds Scarlet as the most beautiful vixen he's ever seen. Yes, Plucky, I'm snuggly, Scarlet said a little annoyed. I'm sorry! I'm trying my best! This is too freaking comedic! She was about to force him to go to sleep too when she heard Bolt shout from around the corner. Oh, God! Scarlet quickly got up and walked round the corner. What she saw wasn't pretty. Oh no, please don't tell me that Dash... What happened to you? She exclaimed at Bolt. Did Dash just... Dash just hurled all over the floor, and onto me a bit, he replied sardonically. She okay? Yeah, she's just out cold, so I'll keep an eye on her, he said warmly, looking back at his sleeping mate and back to Scarlet. Though I could really do with a bath now, he continued, but was interrupted when a bowl of water had been tipped over him from the windowsill above them. Gah! Scarlet couldn't help but giggle, and they both looked up to see the culprits were none other than Perry, Woody, and Jester. The two inebriated squirrels were rolling on the ledge, laughing loudly, while Perry stayed swaying on his perch, laughing also. Oh my god! Oh, this is so hilarious. I can't even fake this. You cannot fake this laughter even if you try, guys. I swear to God. Thanks, guys, Bolt said sarcastically, shaking the water from him. You're very welcome, they shouted back at him, still laughing hysterically. Look at his ears, they're so floppy, Woody exclaimed amusedly to the others. This just made Bolt look at them judgingly, raising an eyebrow. What are we going to do with them? Scarlet huffed irritably. Not a clue, but Plucky seems to be occupied enough right now. Plucky was indeed. He was lying on his side facing away from them, suckling from the bottle of vodka, cupping his front paws around it. He was releasing several inaudible murmurs and chuckling to himself while his tail swished around agitatedly. Plucky has just become a dog. He's decided that he no longer wanted to be a fox and that he would rather be a dog instead. I'll keep an eye on him. Scarlet looked at her mate with affection. He might have been a drunken idiot at the moment, but he was still cute. Can you make sure Woody and Jester don't do anything stupid? I guess I'll have to, Bolt replied, but was cut off when behind him a falcon fell from his perch with a thud, completely unconscious. I think Perry just blacked out. I'm done. I'm literally done. This is literally gonna be like this will be the only funny moment in the whole story, because the rest of it is gonna be like, standard Animals of Farthing Wood fare. Probably have to deal with getting out of the rest of the city and contending with the grey foxes after that and getting home and stuff. But hey, what's keeping us from getting freaking smashed? That's what. That is to say, I don't plan on ever touching a bottle of alcohol in my life. So I've definitely tried some before. I'll stick to good old tried and true Pepsi Max and lemonade. That's the way for me. Yep, Scarlet answered while Bolt turned around. Perry was out cold, in an uncomfortable heap on the floor, with a cheery smile on him. Help me get him up right. He'll wake up with a cramp if he sleeps it off like that. The vixen and the hare helped each other lift up the falcon from his back, and placed him more comfortably on his front, carefully folding his wings back into place. They looked around and then attempted to subdue the two mischievous squirrels, but they had run off down the alleyway. Damn it, Scarlet mumbled. I'll deal with them. You just keep an eye on the others, Bolt asserted, feeling that Woody and Jester were kind of his responsibility. Well, considering they're mostly out for the count already, it won't be difficult. Bolt took off after the squirrels while Scarlet placed herself so Plucky, Perry, and Dash were in view. Dash and Perry were deep in an inebriated sleep, but Plucky was still awake. Now, though, he had thrown away the bottle, as it was now empty, and was lying on his back, peering into the sky, but also playfully swatting the air at something imaginary with his paws, like a cat playing with an invisible ball of twine. Yep, it seems that Plucky has suddenly grown bored with being a dog and has now decided to be a cat. Where are the normal moments like this in the other stories that I've read? Oh, right, because empathy, the thing about empathy is that the main characters aren't really at the proper age of drinking. Scarlet watched him humorously with a big smile on her face. She knew he had been stressing so much the last few weeks and about the other weeks to come. He needed the time to just relax and, although he was drunk, to be himself. She then realized he had changed his gaze to look at her. He was still on his back and was looking upside down and was smiling affectionately towards her. The vixen tilted her head slightly, and the fox tilted his, as if to mimic her. After a passionate stare between them, Plucky rolled over and stood up to wobble over to her, crisscrossing his legs more than once. Scarlet stood up and met him halfway and sat before him. It was then that his legs gave way, and he fell on her, startling the vixen slightly. Plucky just chuckled, as did Scarlet, and the couple didn't swap any words. Plucky just snuggled up to her and hummed tenderly and peacefully. Plucky? Plucky? Scarlet nudged him. All he released was a few more small hums, but he didn't move. He too had fallen asleep, but obviously a lot more calmly than the others. Well, at least you aren't going to run off anywhere. Well, at least you aren't going to run off anywhere. Just don't throw up on me, will you? The vixen joked and nuzzled him gently. Too precious. Too precious for words. Not too long after Bolt had chased Woody and Jester back to the end of the alley the group were resting in, it had successfully tired them out and they quickly fell asleep too. Scarlet and Bolt then shared a bit of light-hearted banter about the events of the night, but eventually bade each other good night. Bolt went to nestle next to Dash, after cleaning her up a bit after she threw up, and went to sleep. Scarlet, however, stayed awake a while longer as a lookout, before eventually succumbing to her tiredness, and fell asleep herself. Hilarious and hectic. It was hilarious and hectic at the same time. Hilarictic? Night quickly turned to morning and shuffled Scarlet from her rest. She lifted her head and looked around to see all the others were still sound asleep. It was still dark down the alley, but only because of the cover from the surrounding buildings. Beyond the alley, it was a bright, clear, late winter's day. Scarlet's slight stirring had suddenly awoken Plucky, who was leaning his head on her body like a pillow. His face was slightly scrunched up, and his ears pointing in opposite directions. He just released a quiet moan of anguish and opened his eyes. He was feeling very hungover. Guys, do me a favor. Please don't try reenacting the Hangover trilogy with animals. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen any of the Hangover movies, but don't really have an interest in them. Morning, drunkie, Scarlet said softly, yet with light-hearted mockery. Oh, she called him drunkie. Don't. That was just way too loud. You're practically screaming. Plucky murmured quietly, folding his ears down. My head. Well, you had a bit to drink, and certainly got a little weird last night, Scarlet injected, commenting on the cause of his poor state. Drink? Of what? Plucky asked, confused. Don't you remember? I don't remember anything that happened last night. Well, I'm not surprised, you were wasted, the vixen laughed. What about everyone else? Plucky winced, still feeling very hungover. You were all smashed, except for me and Bolt. We made sure you didn't get into too much mischief. Thanks, Plucky sighed. Though I shouldn't have been so irresponsible. I should have helped too. Plucky, you needed a night off. You've been running yourself ragged the last few weeks looking after us. All right, if you say so, Plucky said, a little unconvinced, but he was in no state for a discussion. My head is killing me, and my stomach feels iffy. Ow! Plucky gasped after trying to stand up on his 4 legs. He looked down at his front right paw, and there was a small cut on it from his failed jump. Hold on, that wasn't there before, was it? What happened to my paw? Wow, you really don't remember, do you? Scarlet laughed. No, why? What did I do? Plucky asked, confused. It doesn't matter. Scarlet smiled and gestured for him to lie back next to her, which he wholeheartedly obliged. I think we'll just take the day to rest. Can't imagine what the others will be like when they wake up too. It was another few hours until the others who were drinking last night woke up too. They all weren't feeling their best, which made Scarlet and Bolt quite grateful they hadn't participated. Of course, their fun came today in that revelation. It didn't mean they have to look after the others for the day, but at least it was much easier than the night before. Ah, come on! Why did you have to cut it off there? Oh my gosh! Okay, that would be enough for this chapter. I'm gonna go outside and finish hanging the rest of my clothes. Hanging up the rest of Dan's clothes, because that's obviously what I've been hanging up. Sorry, Dan is a friend of ours who's around here for a bit. This chapter was awesome! And it was funny. It was, funsome. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and until the next time, the next chapter 15, I'm the Masked Ranger, saying keep moving forward, remember the oath, and please be careful not to drink too much, okay? Later, everybody! Oh, nope. Jeez, I've been drinking a lot of Pepsi Max today. I think I'm smashed. Can't even end the video correctly this time. Oh, well. Later, guys! Bye-bye. Thanks for the, send-off, bike. Bye.